Welcome back to my channel. I have a huge announcement to make. I am not only showered and my hair is freshly washed, but it is dried and straightened, and I am shaved and my nails are painted. This is just not normal, and there's literally no occasion except that I really needed to wash my hair. So I'm feeling extremely fresh right now, and it's also been a very productive day. So I'm in a good mood. Enough about that. Sorry for the echo. I'm in like a really big space right now, but today we are going to do something a little bit different, and I'm gonna show you some snacks that I'm prepping for the next few days. And this is something that I've been trying to be better about. I'm not perfect at it because I'm pretty busy and I don't have a ton of time to just cook and meal prep, but I'm doing that today. This is really helpful. So when I get hungry, and when I've talked about this on the channel before, but when I'm hungry, my first inclination is to come down here and just like eat a bowl of ice cream or stuff my face on any palatable food that I can find. I'm not saying that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but it's really helpful for me to have foods available that I can eat that are actually going to fill me up and keep me full and aren't just like the highly palatable foods that aren't really gonna make me feel good. Nothing against that. I'm not saying ice cream is bad. I'm not saying sweets are bad. I still eat those things, but when I come down, I wanna have a snack that is going to fill me up and actually do its job and not just make me feel a little bit off like sometimes eating ice cream at 10 a.m. does. Again, nothing wrong with that. I still do it, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. On those lines, I'm also gonna make cookies. So it's not all about just having healthy snacks. I put healthy in quotes because I feel like there's a little bit of a misconception in society today of what is healthy and unhealthy. I personally take the view of health. Health is not just being free from disease. Health to me is living an abundant life, thriving mentally, physically, and emotionally. So when I say healthy, that's what I mean. And all foods fall into that category of health for me. So not only am I gonna make traditionally like society healthy foods, like I'm gonna do some chickpeas and tofu are the two main ones, and then I'm gonna make chocolate chip cookies. Oh, and I'm gonna do chia seed pudding because I got a request for that. Let's get into it. The first thing that I made is a chia pudding, and I used 4 tablespoons of black chia seeds and 1 cup of almond milk, though I'm sure you can use any milk you want, and a dash of vanilla and a dash of honey. Then I mixed it up and put it in the refrigerator to sit overnight. Next, I started working on my baked tofu. So I took my tofu and I squeezed all the moisture out of it. This is important so your tofu isn't too wet. Then I cut it into some small cubes and I placed those cubes in a gallon bag just to help mix all the spices. Put a little bit of olive oil and some garlic salt, paprika, normal salt, pepper, and you can really be creative here and use whatever you want. Then I added a couple teaspoons of cornstarch, and this just helps give it some breaded texture, and then I put it on a baking sheet to put in the oven. You can also do this in the air fryer, but my air fryer was going to be occupied with the chickpeas that I'm starting working on now. For the chickpeas, I just drained a can of chickpeas and rinsed it and then kind of dried it a bit and put it in the same bag that I'd used for the tofu. I added more olive oil and some of the similar seasonings, salt, paprika, pepper. Really, you can add anything you want. I think curry powder would be good here, but I didn't have any. I just mixed everything up in my bag, and then I placed the chickpeas in the air fryer, and they were in there for about 15 minutes. And obviously you can leave them for more or less time depending on how crunchy you like them. Next, I started working on the chocolate chip cookies, and these cookies are pretty special to me because they're the ones that my mom used to make when we were kids, and this is her recipe. So that's 3/4 cup of white sugar, 3/4 cup brown sugar, and then 2 eggs and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Then you mix very vigorously until smooth, and then you add 1 cup of Crisco or shortening. Mix the shortening until you have all the lumps out of the batter. This can be a bit challenging and will give you a little bit of an arm workout. Next, mix in your dry ingredients, and that's 2 cups of flour plus a little bit extra, 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Then mix your dry ingredients with your wet until you have a good consistency. You can taste test it here if you need to, then add your chocolate chips and you are good to go. At this point, I checked on my chickpeas and they were ready to come out of the air fryer, or at least half of them were. The other ones needed just a couple more minutes. Checked on my tofu and turned them, but they also needed a bit more time. So I started laying out my cookie dough into little balls on my cookie sheet so they would be ready to go in the oven when the tofu was done. In the meantime, I took out the rest of my chickpeas and put them in a bowl, and I must say those chickpeas were quite delicious. The tofu ended up being in the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes at 375, and that gave them a really good consistency and texture. Next, I put the cookies in the oven, and they were there for just over 10 minutes to get them nice and slightly brown. Those cookies are so good, very gooey, and really good to eat warm, and especially with a glass of milk is my favorite. Now I'm gonna pretend to try my goodies for the first time as if I haven't been snacking on them all afternoon while everything else has been baking. These are so good, oh my goodness. I think these might be my favorite. They're pretty crunchy. Like, they almost look overdone, but I personally like them a bit crispier. This tofu is so good. And it would be even better, I think, when I eat this as a snack in the future. I'll dip it in like a garlic sauce or Tabasco or something like that. And now, the thing I actually haven't tried yet. Yes, look at that. Look how gooey that is. Let's see. I haven't made cookies in a long time. We'll have to see what Carl thinks when he gets back. He's gone right now. Imagine leaving your girlfriend and coming back to amazing snacks and a clean house, by the way. I've also been cleaning. I'll have to try the chia pudding tomorrow because it needs to sit in the freezer. Not freezer. It needs to sit in the refrigerator overnight, or at least a few hours. I might take a look at it this evening, but I have a feeling it's gonna be better if I wait until the morning. The next morning, I took out the chia seed pudding, and it was actually a surprisingly good consistency and texture. I added some banana and some very freezer burnt berries. The previous night, I decided to add some cinnamon to the pudding, but I think I added too much, and I didn't really care for the cinnamon flavor because it was just a lot, but Carl seemed to like it. Finished product. I wanted to have fresh strawberries on here, but we're kind of out of food, so I just have some very freezer burnt berries instead. What did you think of the other snacks I made?
The cookies?
No, the chickpeas and the tofu and the cookies. I already know he doesn't like the cookies.
It was good, very good.
Yeah, we ate like all the tofu last night and most of the chickpeas, so this would be really good if I hadn't dumped so much cinnamon in it after the fact. Try a bite with like peanut butter and peanut berries.
I actually don't mind the cinnamon.
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty good.
Well guys, this is the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'm wishing you all the best in your recovery journeys. Leave me a comment below if you have any other snacks you want me to try, or if you happen to try one of these in today's video. In the meantime, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you in the next one.